This happened back when I was 13 years old. Back then, I had a close friend named Aiden. He was a couple of years older than me, but we still got along, mainly because our houses were right next to each other. The rest of our neighborhood was mostly filled with older people, so we didn't really have anyone else to play with. Most nights, we played random games outside until we got too tired, or our parents called us in. This was before the internet was a big deal, so we did this a lot. One of the games we played the most was hide and seek, a variation where the seeker had to use a flashlight at all times. The big rule was that the person seeking had to keep it on no matter what, and the person hiding was considered found if they got revealed by the flashlight. It made the game interesting because the hider could better track the seeker's movements and reposition, but the seeker could just as easily shine their light in the hider's direction from a distance, ending the game. We typically set the boundaries to anywhere in the close parts of the neighborhood. However, our neighborhood was right on the edge of a huge stretch of woods, so sometimes we made things interesting by playing there. We never set a limit on how far the hider could go, because we usually didn't want to venture too far, especially since we played at night, which made for a creepy setting. One time, it was my turn to hide. Aiden and I agreed to make the woods the playing area for that round. I wanted to make it a challenge, so I went further than usual. Quickly, I started to regret it. It got very dark away from any house lights, so dark that I couldn't see anything. Since Aiden had the only flashlight, navigating the woods was especially difficult. The only light I had was the faint glow of the moon. After walking for a while, I eventually came across an abandoned cabin. I knew this would be the perfect hiding spot. No way he'd find me in there. I stepped inside and fumbled my way to a set of stairs. Upstairs, I found a bedroom with a single window facing my neighborhood, which was now too far away to see. I sat there for a long time. Nothing happened, until I saw Aiden outside. Except he wasn't using the flashlight. He was cheating. He must have gotten tired of the light revealing his position, so he either covered it or turned it off completely. I watched his black silhouette move closer to the cabin. I heard leaves crunching under his footsteps. Eventually, he got so close that I couldn't see him through the window anymore, but I could still hear his footsteps downstairs. Then out of the window, I saw the heart-stopping sight of Aiden with the flashlight, walking around far in the distance, but I could still hear footsteps downstairs. Slowly, it hit me. Whoever was downstairs wasn't Aiden. Instinctively, I hid under the bed. To my horror, the footsteps climbed the stairs. When they reached the top, I heard the click of a gun. My heart pounded out of my chest. A few seconds later, I saw large boots, definitely not Aiden's, walk into the room. They stood near the door for what felt like an eternity before turning and leaving. Seizing the moment, I crawled out from under the bed and jumped out the window. I landed hard but immediately started running. I could hear footsteps chasing me, but I didn't look back. Eventually, Aiden saw me sprinting toward him. He shined his flashlight on me and said, "I can see you. I win." But when I didn't stop running, his eyes shifted behind me, and his expression dropped. He turned and ran with me all the way to my house. Once inside, we locked the door. Aiden was just as shaken as I was. He asked me who the man running behind me was. I got goosebumps hearing that. I told him everything, and he didn't question a word. We told my parents but downplayed it so they wouldn't freak out. They called the police, who searched the cabin and woods for hours, but found no one. After that, our parents banned us from those woods. And honestly, I was relieved. You couldn't have paid me to go back. The whole experience was traumatizing, especially for me. We never returned to that cabin, and to this day, we still don't know who or what we saw that night. A few months ago was me and my wife's second anniversary. We both agreed to take time off work to do something special. We live in Wyoming and decided to rent a cabin in the snowy mountains for a few days. It wasn't the craziest idea, but we thought it'd be a romantic getaway. Plus, the owner, a friend of a friend, gave us a discount. The cabin was in the middle of nowhere. To reach it, you had to drive down a secluded private road. The nearest house was about a mile away, details we didn't know before booking. But when we arrived, the cabin was so beautiful we didn't care. It looked like something off a postcard. The isolation even felt comforting, surrounded by endless trees. The downside? No phone service. The first night, we watched a movie by the fireplace. Later, we decided to use the hot tub on the back porch. That's when I realized I'd left my swim trunks in the car. It had been snowing all day and the ground was covered. As I walked outside, I noticed fresh boot prints in the snow, definitely not ours. They led from the forest to the living room window, then back into the trees. Red flags. No one had knocked, and the prints went to the window, not the door. My wife was more unsettled than I was, but we were in the middle of nowhere. This was weird. We drove to town to message the owner, asking if he'd sent anyone. After 30 minutes with no reply, it was late. We headed back, deciding we were overreacting. Back at the cabin, we skipped the hot tub and went to bed. At 3 a.m., I woke up to a soft bump on the bedroom window. The curtains were closed, so I assumed it was snow. Then it happened again. Louder. I got up and opened the curtains. Nothing. I turned on my phone's flashlight, but the glare forced me to open the window. That's when I saw fresh boot prints right below. Panicking, I lifted my light and followed the prints into the trees, where a figure stood, watching me from 10 yards away. I shut the window, woke my wife, and told her we had to leave now. She was confused but packed quickly. Minutes later, we sprinted to the car. As I reversed, my wife screamed. The figure was now beside the house, watching us leave. Once we had service, we texted the owner. He later confirmed boot prints encircled the cabin, stopping at every window. We cut the trip short and spent the rest of our time off at home. We never found out who that figure was or what they wanted, and honestly, we're okay not knowing. There's one night I'll never forget. I was a week away from turning 18, on a warm late summer night around 2 a.m. I was with two friends, Jacob and Steven, in Steven's basement, doing things we probably shouldn't have been. Bored, we went outside to find something better to do. Jacob knew a spot by a small lake deep in the nearby woods where teenagers hung out. We grabbed flashlights and hiked there, only to find it empty. Disappointed, we circled the lake and found an abandoned cabin. Of course, we explored it, making a lot of noise. Upstairs, we rummaged through a dusty bedroom when suddenly, creak, the cabin's front door opened. We froze. Footsteps moved downstairs. Then a man's voice. "I know you're up there." Terrified, Jacob gestured to a closet. We squeezed inside, holding our breath. The footsteps climbed the stairs, entered the room, and began searching. Then, the closet knob turned. Steven reacted first, shoving the man to the ground. We bolted downstairs and didn't stop running until we reached Steven's house. In the basement, we gasped for breath. Steven then revealed. When he pushed the man, he saw a handgun fall. We stayed up all night in shock. The cabin was clearly abandoned. Where had the man come from? None of us got a good look at him. To this day, we've never returned to that part of the woods. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Steven hadn't pushed him.